We're here today with the muscles of the thigh, also known as the upper leg, also known as between the hip and the knee. There's 4 muscles on this diagram that you should be able to name. If this was a perfect world and we had enough school left where we could test you on it and make sure that it was in there so that you knew what was going on. In this imperfect world, these are the most important ones to know. The Iliopsoas up there at the top is not on our list of muscles. There's a lot of muscles in the hip and the leg that we're just leaving out, partly because it makes it manageable and partly because we are running out of time. As you know, because you've already written your final, and let's be honest, how many seniors are actually watching this video? Well, they might watch the video and laugh and say, ah, look, Mr. Palmer's got his quarantine mullet going on there. I'm working on it. Come back in September. Should be interesting. All right, but seriously, folks, on the leg. So you're sitting probably in a chair. If you're sitting in a chair, that means that your knees are bent. Right there, if you put your hand down on your lap, drop it right down there in the middle. That's the rectus femoris. That's the muscle under your hand. If you were to remove the rectus femoris, if you could lift it up and out, underneath that is a muscle we're not bothering to name. It's the vastus intermedius. So those 4 muscles, the rectus femoris, below it, deep to it, the vastus intermedius, going toward the inner thigh, the vastus medialis, going around to the outside of the leg, the vastus lateralis. Those are the 4 muscles that make up the quadricep group. So if somebody says, oh, I hurt my quads, which one? The 4 muscles that make the anterior compartment, the front of the thigh, are the quadriceps. That's the rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the vastus intermedius, and the vastus medialis. The other muscle that starts up there at the top and kind of wraps around is the sartorius. Now, these muscles are all involved in knee movement. Complete list is provided in the notes page that accompanies this video. The vastus medialis originates at the top of the femur, and it inserts down here at the top of the tibia. Vastus lateralis does the same thing on the other side. The vastus lateralis is a hip flexor. The vastus medialis is a hip extender. Remember, when we're talking about hip movement, we're talking about out to the side or back in. The rectus femoris is a hip flexor and also extends the knee. So if you're sitting here, your leg is bent. If you straighten it out, you just used your rectus femoris. Well, that's great. Now my leg's sticking straight out in front of me. That's not very comfortable for very long. So now what do I do, Palmer? Well, you flex the biceps femoris, coming up soon, to bring that knee back into a flexed position. The sartorius up here originates on the spine of the ilium, and it inserts also at the superior end of the tibia on the medial side. The sartorius is a hip flexor. It helps support knee flexion, and it laterally rotates the thigh. Those are the big 4 up front. Take a second, pause the video, see if you can name them. Then take another second, check your answers, make sure you got them right. All right, let's talk about the back of the leg. Here's our old friend, the vastus lateralis. So if you were standing up, which I'm not going to do because then I'm out of the shot, but if you were standing up and you put your arm down at your side, you would feel chair. No, if I'm standing up, I'm going to hit the side of the thigh. That's the vastus lateralis. Unless I do that in the middle, between the legs, and then I'm going to get vastus medialis. The medial side, the inside, the lateral side, the outside. Those direction words from September keep coming up. It's amazing how this all builds. Working around, though, from the vastus lateralis, the biceps femoris, I just mentioned a second ago. I promised you it was coming, and it is. The biceps femoris is a knee flexor. It originates on the ischium, which is down here where the little finger hole is in the pelvis. It originates on the ischium, and it inserts down here. Actually, the biceps femoris inserts on the head of the fibula, which is that little neglected leg bone, hides around the tibia, and people don't tend to pay much attention to it. But it's there, and it's important. It's also not the fibia, it's the fibula. Because this is anatomy, so that matters. Next to the biceps femoris, still in the back of the leg, we have the semitendinosus, which inserts on the tibia. It also originates on the ischium. The semitendinosus is responsible for knee flexion and medial rotation of the leg. Also serves as a hip extender. Now, you ask about leg muscles. Oh, the gluteus maximus. The tush muscle. Yes, where you get your shots. Yes, that's true. But guess what? It has other jobs besides being your seat cushion in these wonderful chairs that you get stuck in when you're at school. The gluteus maximus originates at the ilium, the sacrum, and the coccyx, and it inserts on the femur. It's a hip extender. It abducts and laterally rotates the thigh. The gluteus medius originates on the ilium, inserts on the femur, and helps to abduct and medially rotate the thigh. And guess what? If you're going to bother to have a medius, that means that underneath those, there's got to be a gluteus minimus, which also helps to abduct and medially rotate the thigh. And if you came to that conclusion on your own, this is where I tell you, congratulations on your use of anatomical thinking. You are a genius, and you should be after taking this class. Because that's our job, is to turn you into anatomical geniuses, or at least try. So if you hadn't figured that out yet, now you know, and you're a genius because, again, you know that not only is there the gluteus maximus that everybody knows, but you know that the reason it's the maximus is because there's a medius and a minimus. And because you know all of these things, filling in the blanks on this diagram is going to be easy. Wasn't it easy? See, you got them all right. And if you didn't get them all right, back up and do the run through again, or just bounce back and forth in your note packet to learn their locations. All right, we're ready for the inside of the thigh now. For this picture, we've taken off the left pelvic bone. So we're looking at, again, up here, our ilium. Down here where the hole is, we have our ischium. And then up here, the pubis, the pubic bone. The sartorius, we saw that from the front. We mentioned how that wraps around and kind of looks like a seatbelt. This red arrow is pointing to our semitendinosus friend. Yes, that word looks similar. Guess what? They're two different muscles with almost identical names. Because, yeah, I don't know who names these. I wish I did. I would fix some of them. Some of them I would keep because even though they're really long, they tell us exactly what they do. But that's a different body part. The semimembranosus works with the semitendinosus. The membranosus originates on the femur and the ischium. It inserts in the tibia. and it flexes the knee, extends the hip, and medially rotates the leg. So the semimembranosus, the semitendinosus, two different muscles side by side doing the same job. Because we talked about prime movers, we talked about agonists and antagonists, we talked about supporting muscles. They make a good team. Why do they have two different names? Because if you dissect out the leg, they're separate muscles. They have their own tendons, they have their own connections, they have different origins, but they do the same job. The last one we're going to mention is the gracilis, which runs here along the inside of the thigh. So you can reach down, you can feel that. The gracilis originates up here on the pubic bone near the symphysis. It inserts at the tibia, and it adducts the thigh and helps to flex the knee. One thing that is a challenge with this is keeping all of these names straight as you work your way around the thigh. My suggestion is to start with the sartorius strap, and then you go around the outside. The vastus medialis, the rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the biceps femoris, the semitendinosus, the semimembranosus, and the gracilis. And now you've got all the way around. And really they fit. The sartorius strap, the vastus medialis, the long vast muscle on the medial side, the rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the vast muscle on the lateral side, the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, gracilis, and you're back to the sartorius. Now, as part of that pattern, you're on your own up here. Gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, you'll get those. The gluteus maximus, again, that's the main muscle right there. You put your hand in your back pocket, you're above your gluteus maximus. You bring that hand up and laterally a little bit, and there's the gluteus medius. If you had a really long injection needle and you stabbed right through, you could hit and find the gluteus minimus. So those are our muscles of the upper leg and thigh. Thanks for watching.